Okay, so great to chat with you again, Sarah. Today you're lending your voice to the National Inhaler Tales program. Um, the campaign with Teva aims to raise awareness around inhaler use and misuse. Can you tell us a bit about this initiative and your role within the campaign?
Absolutely. Well, as a young child, I was diagnosed as asthmatic, which wasn't shocking. My mother's asthmatic, and now moving forward, both my children are asthmatic. And I've been fortunate enough to live my life with, great communication with my doctors and a great treatment plan that I've been able to utilize and really live my life to the fullest. And I've never looked at asthma as a disability or something that would stop me from climbing the highest mountain or, fighting the most difficult vampire. But when I heard the statistics, when Teva shared with me that, over half of the people are not even utilizing these treatment programs properly, that's heartbreaking because I think there are these stereotypes around asthma that you can't be athletic, you can't be active, and it's so far from the truth. But so often you get a diagnosis of something and a doctor gives you medicine and it says, take these 2 pills twice a day with food and water and you know how to do it. But with asthma, first it's getting that diagnosis. It's advocating for yourself, being that self-diagnostician, knowing how to communicate to your doctor, then getting a treatment program, but then utilizing that treatment program and utilizing it correctly. And so the opportunity to be able to share that message and help not just people understand it, but also to let physicians know how better to communicate to the patients.
And I was also going to ask, as you mentioned, you have asthma. Can you talk a bit more about your experience and why this was something that you wanted to raise awareness for? I know you also mentioned your children have asthma as well.
Well, I want people to understand that, our bodies are not machines and we all have things that make us great and things that maybe hinder us here and there. But there are so many ways to be greater than that, to be more than that, and to be able to live with these diagnoses and be able to accomplish. And I want my kids to see that. And I want, more importantly, it's for other people's kids, because my asthma is well controlled and my kids' asthma is also well controlled. But there's so many people out there who think that that's just how they have to live their lives, is sitting out of things or not doing those things. And that's the farthest thing from the truth.
Yeah, I actually got diagnosed with asthma when I was a child as well. And I know that you go into it kind of thinking, oh, I'm not going to be able to run anymore, or I'm not going to be able to do this or that. But like with inhaler use, obviously, pretty much everything is possible. I was also going to talk to you a bit about that. I know you talked about how some of the statistics surprised you. Could you talk a little bit more about it? Because I read that 40% of asthma and COPD patients feel like their conditions get in the way of their everyday life.
Right. And that's not how it's supposed to be. This should not get in the way, not just of your everyday life, but your everyday extra life, right? Those things. I was telling a story the other day about how I went to Peru. I went on this hike in Cusco, which is like this crazy altitude. And they were like, oh, I don't know, the air is really thin, you're asthmatic. And I was like, oh, I'm doing it. And not only did I do it to the highest point, my 2 friends that I was with who are not asthmatic couldn't finish the hike, couldn't breathe up there. And that just goes to show that when asthma is well controlled and well maintained, really you can do almost anything, or most people can. I mean, obviously everyone's treatment is different and you have to acknowledge that, but people need to understand, especially with the last 2 years, it's been so tough to see doctors that we really have to communicate even better now. The onus is even more on us to describe our symptoms, to be able to explain. I remember my kid one day saying, do I get to get out of track and field because I'm asthmatic? And I was like, oh, no, you don't. No, you can do it and you run faster than everybody else out there and you show them how it's done.
I definitely tried to pull a similar thing with the mile run when I was younger. So I feel your child. I feel that. I was also going to ask about your kids. I saw recently that you went with your family. You got to go to Disneyland. What does that feel like, finally having some sense of normalcy back and getting to spend time with your family, outside of the house?
It's hard. It's like, it's great, but it's also not the Disneyland of before. And you wear your mask and you try to keep distance, but it's hard. Disneyland's crowded. But for us, it was just spending time with family. We hadn't been to Star Wars Land yet, which we were just so desperate to see Rise of the Resistance and Smuggler's Run, and it didn't let down. We did. I tried to get my youngest son on Screaming Over California, or the Incredicoaster. Sorry, it's called the Incredicoaster now. But he didn't go for it. But he did go for Splash Mountain, where I proceeded to be the one that got soaked.
Well, he's braver than me. Splash Mountain, I don't like anything that drops. So
yeah, you're not alone. My daughter wouldn't go on it. I don't even fly with her.
Oh my gosh, too funny. I was also saw recently that you said that your son is not a fan of you and your husband's PDA. Does your daughter feel the same way?
Oh, that's so interesting. No, she doesn't care. She goes, oh, that's cute.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. And I also read, speaking of your kids, that they started watching Buffy in the pandemic. Are they now officially fans of the show?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they loved it. I think they got a kick out of it. I think there's probably things that they would like to watch more than watching their mom. But they definitely did enjoy it.
And what does it feel like to share these kinds of moments with your children? I know so many people grew up watching Buffy and other projects of yours like Scooby Doo. How does it feel for you now watching your own children see these projects through their eyes?
Well, it's hard for me. I don't love to watch myself. I always feel like there has to be something better I could be doing than watching myself. So it was always difficult for me. So I just tried to like get into the story of it. And I would find myself like, oh, I didn't remember that. Or, oh, that's really cool. I didn't. So you do get to watch it with like a different set of eyes.
I love that. And then last question, jumping back to the National Inhaler Tales program, where can viewers go to learn more about this initiative?
Inhalertalesinfo.com has everything really easy. You can also, I'll post it on my socials too so that people can see. But I just want people to really understand that there's a life for them and there is answers, and really we're all here to support, and we are our own community.